Hello. So this is the last, I think, big bench test video I'm going to shoot, and as promised, I do now have a sharp sensor hooked up, and I have the transmitter sending signals that allows it to switch between RC control and autonomous control. So let's go on down some code over here. Still have all this same stuff. I threw back in a variable that we can use for each and every one of the channels that the RC transmitter receives. I'm sorry, RC receiver receives. I threw in a variable here that's going to store the data from the sharp. I have hooked up the sharp to pin 0 of the TNC 3.1. So I've defined it here, set it as a constant, and the sharp pin is going to be A0. Still have the servo objects, including the DC motor speed control. Ultimately, even though I have a few more variables here, I didn't use them all. I'm only going to be using 4 of the channels. One channel is going to be running the RC speed controller. 2 channels, just for novelty, are going to be running 2 servos on this arm. And so that's going to be the speed control. That one is going to be a servo. This one's going to be servo. And this one is on this transmitter. Okay. There's a switch right here that we'd use for retracting a landing gear. I'm going to be using that to send a signal to tell it whether or not to be on autonomous or an RC control. And so that's the one that's going to be hooked up to pin 8, which is this one here on my RC. I think it's actually channel 5 on the RC. I've attached these objects. I've attached the motors, the servos. I've started a serial. And I think the best thing to do is just jump down to the loop. Okay. So on the loop, keep in mind, first thing, most important thing is, hey, am I autonomous, or hey, am I running on RC? That's hooked up to channel 4, okay, and it checks the pulse. If the channel is, these retractable ones, these ones here that hook up just for single function, digital ones, they only send a signal that's maximum or a minimum. Alright, so it's either going to be like 18 or 1900, or it's going to be about 1000 or 1100. So it's pretty easy. I've set it so if it's less than 1500, then we're going to be in autonomous mode, which then means, in this case, actually what we should do is I should show you the data first just being printed. So we're going to print the auto information, which I have right here, which is going to be, it's going to say, hey, it's on full auto mode, and it's going to output the sharp value, okay, the sharp sensor value. I should have even said that. First thing it does, it gets the sharp sensor value, then it prints it. Alright, so it jumps up there to print those two. If it's greater than 1500, well, then I need to be looking at my other channels of my RC, because I'm going to be running the dang thing. So it gathers channel 0, 1, and 2, and then it jumps up to the drive, or, well, let's actually, sorry, we're going to look at this, which is print first. It jumps up to the print RC, and print RC here, and it tells me, first thing it does is say, hey, it's under RC control mode, and it outputs those variables so we can see it. So I'm going to load it up. And let's open up a window so we can see. And so you can see it's currently on full, oops, transmitter's not on. There we go. Okay. It's on RC control mode, and so everything works just like you sort of would expect. I can move the sticks. I can change the values. You can see that channel 1 went down. Channel 1 now went up. Okay, so everything seems to be working just fine. And if I flip the switch, okay, now it's on full auto mode. And now you're going to see that I'm getting data from my sharp sensor. So I move my hand closer to the sharp. The value, oops, you can't see that. Let me move this window over. There we go. Alright, so as I move my hand to and from, I can change those values. So it drops down with it aimed just at me. It's at 140. Put my hand close. 900. Okay. So let's go ahead and close that. I'm going to put it back on RC mode. Close that. And let's go ahead now and explain what happened. So it's going to be looking, first thing, like I said, it's going to look for that RC mode, which is going to be that retractable landing gear switch. And before I forget, I'm going to bring these guys and I'm going to ram out the print because we want to see it go. Alright, so let's assume it's going to be on autonomous mode. It goes up to the drive servos auto subroutine. This one's actually kind of big, but it's easy to understand. What I've done here is I've set up a couple. I probably could have done this little cooler, but this seemed fast and easy at the moment. If the sharp value is less than 150, it's going to output to these three servo objects a value of 1,000 microseconds. If it's between 150 and 350, it's going to output 1,300. If it's going to be between 350 and 450, it's going to output 1,400. If it's somewhere around 450 to 550, it should basically stop, either center these servos or stop the motor. And of course, if it's 550 to 650, it's going to put out these microsecond values, 650 to 850, these, and if it's greater than 850, 1800 microseconds for all of these. If it's going to be going in RC control mode, okay, so that my channel 4 switch is greater than 1500, then it's simply going to gather the information from the other three channels and it's going to drive the servo's RC subroutine, which is way up here, and now you see it's just going to output to these three servo objects these three values which it collected down here. So let me load it up and we'll turn on some motors. Alright, so I should hold this up so you can see. Alright, so you can see I have my speed control is fine. I can move my servos, do all that kind of stuff. Now I'm going to switch it to auto mode, and you can see that it's dependent on the position of my hand, although sometimes you can't see my hand. And then switch it back to RC mode. And voila, everything works. So I think I'm ready now on this next step to put this thing in the Batmobile, and we'll probably bench it first to make sure it works, and then take it outside. So I will see you soon.